Welcome. This is a special show. Going into Extreme Rules. Now, everybody hear me out. You're probably going to listen to this later today or tomorrow, which will be 24 hours before Extreme Rules. Okay. How many people have watched wrestling for over 20 years and never seen a diva or a lady wrestler bleed on a big event? I don't even remember Mae Young bleeding. So, it's time for a diva to get colored, juice, or however you want to say it. The argument being is this. See, right now, I know Jim Ross went out on his show and said a great match would be Shane versus Triple H, because of all the angles that Shane didn't get beat against Undertaker. So basically is this. Well, and that would feed into a match. But right now, as far as the big picture and drawing money, and maybe stealing from the major sports crowds instead of being just entertainment. I mean, even though I know UFC shown on ESPN and all that, and there's always been a big gap between the WWE and MMA, especially when Pride was going. Because Pride was, in my point of view, because I've known people who have fought for Pride. I've been on the mat with people who fought for Pride, King of the Cage, and the UFC. There's always been a huge gap between MMA and pro wrestling. So, with that being said, now everybody hear me out. Okay, whenever Ronda Rousey got beat by Holly Holm, the ref stepped in so fast because that was their little flagship of the UFC at the time. And in a way still is, because people still talk about her. She never really got any color. In other words, really didn't bleed that much. They stopped it so fast. So, it's turning into the age-old argument now of which is better, pro wrestling or MMA. Well, at the WWE and their writers, I don't know who the hell their writers are. A lot of people that's been in the business for a lot longer than me is questioning their writers. Kevin Nash, I know he did with all the stuff he did with CM Punk. But, because they do some stupid stuff. But now, to re-legitimize pro wrestling, going into Extreme Rules this weekend. And even though I know that's a submission match, because they made it a submission match to get the girls out of doing something. Because everybody knows, as long as the divas don't bleed a little, it's a work. It just, knowing that, I know the business has been exposed and all that. But you could put the suspension of disbelief back in if a diva would juice the hard way, actually. So, it's time. And then that could turn around. WWE could go to the UFC and say, hey, you're a bigger work than us. You're just flat out conning everybody. And then that can turn into Shane versus Dana. Now, if Dana White can't learn how to work in the ring, there's something wrong. Because two good promo guys can get 20 minutes in a 60-minute match if they go old school. Now, God knows I don't know what Dana would look like in a singlet. But it would be epic. It would be the match of the century. I mean, both camps, the UFC and the WWE, are still in that questionable time, especially with, what's his name, the Irish guy getting beat, Conor McGregor. And they put a lot of money and a lot of people said, I think Nate Diaz said that, basically they were giving him a WWE push, and he said push like pro wrestlers refer to a push. So, it's time. It's time to end this battle. Ever since I started in Amarillo, I have seen this battle because there's so many wrestlers at that time, especially at that time when I broke in, there were so many quality wrestlers on the both MMA side and pro wrestling side. It was ridiculous. Everybody knew the game. And it's coming down to it. Eventually this argument's going to have to end. Vince McMahon is 73. He can't do it. I think if Vince was 50 right now, he would do it. But the question mark is Shane. Because Shane versus Triple H, what's so bad about Shane versus Triple H is everybody sees it coming. They don't see this one coming. This creates that media frenzy. This gets TMZ, Inside Edition, Entertainment Tonight, all the tabloids talking. First, you got to get the tabloids talking, and once you get the tabloids talking, the mainstream media comes right behind them. See, the only catch is this. I don't... See, they're using Meltzer. WWE's using Meltzer to pitch ideas. He'll start something, or one of the kayfabe commentary guys... One of them, or RF Video, will pitch something on social media and if they start seeing a bunch of likes, bunch of retweets, within 6 to 9 months, they're going with it. So, it's time. They got to do it. They can't do it. It's time to go to the pay window, baby. It's time. As Dusty Rhodes would say, it's time to go to the pay window. It's time. This would be the biggest sporting event in a long time. It would get talked about more than Ali versus Inoki. I know they've been pitching Mayweather against Conor McGregor. But in a way, that's reinventing the wheel too. So, it's time for Dana to put up or shut up. Now, I know I changed my handle to Dixie Thorne, which I'm getting ready to go on to a big, big deal with Dixie. Once I literally get my crap together, because I may do a podcast from the commode. So, with that being said, because I'm going to entertain people. I'm an entertainer. So, with that being said, I don't know, it's hard to explain, because WWE, I feel like the talent's being held back by the writers, and, because, last night, okay, I got in right at 8:52-ish. I turned on the USA Network, and I sat down and I looked up. And you know what I saw? I saw 2 teams dressed in black. I saw AJ Styles, Gallows, Anderson, basically in black and white, except for Styles. Then I saw the Usos, who had rainbow colors on top, black on the bottom. I saw Roman Reigns in black. So, with that being said, if I was a first-time viewer, this is my argument, which I'm trying to get IFC. I'm trying to cut a deal with the IFC right now, and I got this one venture capitalist who's been following me. I haven't really went with a full-fledged idea yet, but it's in the works. I'm bringing pro wrestling to IFC. But this whole PG era is almost killing the business. The WWE in the UFC, and I'm counting UFC into this because they're a damn work too. And if you don't think they're work, you need to go get your brain checked. Because with Conor McGregor there and the way that they worked Ronda Rousey, they are a bigger work than WWE. So, with this being said, the whole PG era, it's almost okay. You got a bunch of kids literally watching the show. They run the Roman Reigns match with Luke Gallows and them. Probably their thinking behind that is they'll get the 22 to 35 demographic to watch, and that's more like their deal to watch. And the New Day is for the kids to watch with the trombone and all that. So, with that being said, there has to be a lot that needs to be done. Now, I know the Divas don't like having the Diva title and all that, but guess what? If you're going to be a superstar, you got to be willing to do superstar things. And I know Ashley Flair and Natalya Neidhart are from wrestling families. They grew up in this business. They paid their dues whenever they were 9 years old. So I know Ashley started with George South, actually. I know that for a fact. So Ashley knows the game. So it is time for WWE and the Divas, or the women superstars, or however you want to say it, to do the deed. Get some color. And Dixie, I'll get to you when it's time to get to you. Next Wednesday night. Because it's almost getting to the point. It's going to get to the point, Dixie, where you're going to have to use my wits eventually. Because basically, your TNA is the ugly cousin to the WWE. They're actually, some people say, the fourth fiddle, because some people say WWE, well, the NXT is better than TNA and Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor's pace is too fast. I think that's the biggest thing holding Ring of Honor back right now, is their pace is entirely too fast. God knows what's going on with Global Wars. They're trying to do whatever they're trying to do. When I watched that big 8-man deal with Global Wars versus TNA last summer, I really didn't know what to think. To me, it wasn't really, the only part about it that was pro wrestling was Jeff Jarrett in that match, because he was doing a lot. I ain't the biggest Jeff Jarrett fan, but he carried the load in a lot of that, and then you could tell it was a lot of his thinking that went on behind it. So Dixie's never cut loose. I don't know what to think about the Octagon ring. So with that being said, Dixie, get ready, because next Wednesday night I'm going to mess with you, and I'm going to mess with you bad. Thing about Dixie is I can't make up my mind if I would ever do her. I don't know. Every time I look at her picture, I'm like, I don't know. I've seen hotter brunettes, and so with that being said, I'm out. Everybody have a good day.